This is Live from the Table, the official podcast of the world-famous Comedy Cellar, coming at you on Sirius XM 99 Raw Comedy, formerly Raw Dog, and available as a podcast, also on YouTube. Dan Natterman here with Noam Dorman, owner of the world-famous Comedy Cellar.
Hello, hello.
Periel Aschenbrand is here. She's our producer.
Hi.
And she also has some on-air, stuff. We're here with...
That is such a garbage introduction.
Nevertheless, we have with us Matan Peretz, or am I pronouncing that correctly? And he's a stand-up comedian, media influencer, and active IDF soldier in the Army Reserves. And he is joining us from somewhere in the combat zone. I don't know whether he's in Israel or in the Gaza Strip.
Ask him.
Well, I'm not sure he's at liberty to say. Are you in Israel?
I'm in Israel.
I guess so. Yeah. If you were in the Gaza Strip, you wouldn't be just hanging out having a Zoom talk. Welcome. He's coming at us via Zoom. Thank you for being here. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, we got wind of you, I guess, through Rachel Feinstein.
Yes, Rachel called me and
said you must have this man on the show. So here you are, and hope that you're doing well despite everything.
So you were about to have a special released, right? Right before
I released a special actually on September, preparing the winter shows, and now it doesn't matter anymore.
What's the comedy scene like in Israel?
Oh, the comedy scene is amazing. Not as harsh as the comedy scene in the States, but there's a lot of newcomers. There's a lot of new stuff, very exciting stuff. Israel, we get all the things from America in like a 5 to 10 years delay, so we try to keep up. But yeah, it's a very like vibrant, very friendly scene. So yeah.
When I was When I was over there, I actually bumped into an Arab comedian who was doing one of the I don't know if it was an open mic or whatever it was, but I was a little bit surprised to see him there. Is that how common is that?
Oh, it's very common. There's only one.
Pardon?
He's the only one.
Oh, that was the one I met. Is the only one.
He's the only one, and I asked him like many times. I was like, "So you perform in Hebrew, and then you go perform in Arabic? You guys have like a vibrant stand-up scene in Arabic?" And he was like, "No, not at all."
This is true. You guys are being serious? Is one Arab comic?
Yeah, Muhammad. That's the only one.
All right, so okay. In English, if you do well, they say you kill, and if you do badly, they say you bombed. They
exactly.
They use the same thing in Hebrew.
No, it's the opposite for Muhammad. If you do well,
no. Listen, so this is actually what I want to ask you. So obviously everybody's on the lookout now for any Israeli who says unkind things. But of course, in wartime, it's typical for countries to be very insensitive about "quote unquote" the enemy. In the United States, if you look at what was going on vis-a-vis the Japanese, whatever it is. But you also you have Arab citizens there, you have Arab friends, I presume. So what kind of things are said? How is it reacted? How do people react to it? Can you make jokes about Arabs? Can Arabs make jokes about Jews? You make jokes about the war? What's it like?
I think Muhammad is a great example of like how when you joke about these things, you can really diffuse the whole situation, because obviously everything is very tense. In Israel, everything always is very tense. That's why we joke about everything, because it's so tense. You can't just leave and be tense all the time. So we try to joke about everything. Usually if someone don't get the jokes, they don't get them even at peace times. So we joke all the time, anytime, and that's how we pass the time here in Israel, because every time we get a new war, we get a new operation going on, if we won't joke about it, we just won't joke about anything. So usually the humor here is very, very dark, because everything we've been going through. I've seen a lot of comics come to Israel, like Bill Bear, I think, and most of them are like very surprised of how they can do a very dark jokes, and the crowd just loves it because everything we're going through. So the threshold for dark humor here is either very high or very low. Depends how you look at it.
The shows I did in Israel were for the for the English-speaking, olim, as they call them, immigrants, in more, they tend to be more religious, because who the hell else is going to go to Israel from, right? Like, if you're going to Israel from the United States, you've got to be motivated. And that motivation probably comes from religious conviction, because otherwise, why are you going to leave the good life, the comfy life in the United States to go to Israel? So all the people that I performed for were religious, so you had to be very clean, and it's the opposite of what you're saying. You had to be clean, you had to be politically correct, more or less, and you couldn't be dark, but because I never performed for the Hebrew-speaking audience.
Exactly, but I think you can see, like, usually you're right, but when they spend enough time in Israel, they get darker and darker in skin and in humor. So yeah, absolutely. I used to perform to Olim, as you said, all the time, because I need to practice my English, because ultimately I want to perform all over the world. So I perform to Olim, and you can tell that I'm very sensitive, but by the level of sensitivity, you can say, like, you can feel, oh, you're new here. Okay, I can tell. Oh, you've been here for 2 months. Okay, you're very new. But for the ones that are here, like, for a few years, they joke about everything. That's how you know you're true Israeli.
Now, I want to ask you about the different groups in Israel. To what extent are the settlers resented because of the perception that in some way they exacerbate the everyday lives of people like you who are fighting in the military? I heard on one show that there was something like 14 battalions were on the West Bank trying to, keep things calm there, and only 2 were left in Gaza. And the person on the show speculated that was because of all the provocations on the West Bank. I don't know much about it. What's your take on all that? Explain it to us.
For someone who was born and raised in the West Bank, if you call it a settler, if you want to call that, we were born and raised to protect and love our country. And for many, many years, people, as you said, resented settlers for, like, oh, you're doing all this, and now we have to deal with a Palestinian mob or whatever. But after October 7th, we all realized that for them, all of Israel is the settlement. There's no legitimate cities and settlers. No, every single place in Israel is a settlement. So now when we all realize it, or at least 90% of Israelis realize it, I think the sympathy for settlers are way high now, because all of us are basically settlers.
Yeah, actually, I saw one of the screenings of the films from the Israeli government, and they actually did refer to the kibbutzes and the moshavs as settlements, meaning that all Israelis are settlers. And actually, we had Rashid Khalidi, a Columbia professor, on, and he referred to Israelis as settlers. We found a video of him saying it. So it's
exactly
the issue used to be 1967. Now the issue is more and more 47 and 48. It seems to be in the way the world is looking at the conflict, which is amazing if you think about it, that it's actually moving backwards.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. We're gonna move backwards and backwards. Each war, we're gonna move backwards and backwards, and then someone will dispute, King David. That's what's gonna happen. Like every war, we go backwards and backwards. I'm waiting for people to be like, oh, Abraham didn't exist. I'm waiting for that. And nowadays, I don't know if you know that, but Abraham was Palestinian. Turns out, I've seen a couple of videos of them saying, like, oh, Abraham was a Palestinian, Moses was a Palestinian. So that's good to know that I'm Palestinian also. So I'm not, like, if you don't know history, just don't get your information from TikTok, and stop arguing with people that actually live here and know the history. Yeah.
But there were no Palestinians, obviously, then. But Abraham is the patriarch of the Arabic people as well, right? That part is true.
Yeah.
I mean, if any of it's true, who knows if there even was an Abraham, right? Yeah, it sounds like a lot of
exactly.
Well, though they do
like
say,
malarkey
I did read somewhere that King David. At first there was some doubt as to whether he existed. Then they found something in Egypt, some stele, do they call it, some tablet that mentioned King David, and so now they're pretty sure actually there was a King David. As far as Moses is concerned, I don't know.
But the arrogance of somebody, the arrogance of somebody sitting in America talking about stolen land is just unbelievable.
Oh, I hate that. What are you talking about?
What do you mean? What am I talking about? We didn't steal lands from the Native Americans.
You can still complain about someone else. You didn't do it.
No, I didn't do it.
They complain about it here too.
I don't hear in the echo chambers of social media anybody pointing out that hypocrisy.
Didn't I do a land acknowledgement statement before the podcast?
I see it all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
But I don't think it's valid. No. I think you can, if you have a cause you think is just, feel free to discuss it. Whether or not.
But people ask me what I'm thinking about, like the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I said, listen, I don't know enough about the topic to weigh in, and I wish 90% of the people on TikTok would say that about Israel and Palestine. Like, listen, come on, you don't know enough, you don't know nearly enough, so please, like, stop giving us your opinion. We're Israelis, we don't give a fuck about what you think. Like, people don't understand the Israeli state of mind. People think that Israelis are the same as Jews living in Europe or the United States, but if you ever met, I guess some of you did, if you ever met an Israeli Jew, you know that most of the time we don't give a shit about your opinion. So you can go ahead and keep doing videos. We don't care.
Well, let me ask you about that, because is that really true? I would imagine. Listen, it's getting to me, the stuff I see on Twitter and elsewhere. I'm not on TikTok, but I'm kind of aware that Israel is not a favorite on social media. And,
not at all.
And if you spend time on it, you're only human. It's got to weigh on you after a while. And in some way, you can't just be impervious to it. So how do Israelis deal with that? It's a psychological pressure, no?
It is, and it's very harsh, but you can't let it cloud your judgment, because we know that every war we have, every operation is us fighting to exist. We don't fight to expand our land. Yeah. We don't fight to occupy anyone. We just fight to exist, because everyone surrounding us just want us to go away.
Now, why'd you go home? Go back to where you came from.
Go back. Exactly. Somebody told me, go back to Europe. I've never been. Like, you know what I mean?
Are your ancestors from Europe or from the Arab world?
My dad's family came from Morocco, but my mom's family actually are like 8 or 9 generations from Jerusalem. So that pissed them off a lot. Like, when I say that, they don't believe me. So you know what I mean?
You'll get to stay. You'll get to stay even if everyone else has to go home.
Half of me gets to stay, and the other half gets to go back to Morocco, I guess. I don't know how that works, but like, somebody asked me, why won't you go back to Europe, or like, if you're going to visit Europe, you should study the language. And I was like, yeah, if I'll go to France, obviously I'm going to study Arabic. You know what I mean? Because I need to know that if I go there.
Any other people not from the States? Because I love Americans, but you guys. Let me see, you. Italy! Oh, I love how Italian food is so good that we forgot that they supported the Nazis. You know what I mean? It's so amazing. They were best friends with Hitler. We're like, yeah, whatever, pasta. We don't give a shit. That's amazing. How good your food should be that people will be like, we don't care about history. Bring me more about pizza. You know what I mean? It's amazing. And you Italian? No. You still live in Italy? So I'm sorry for that. You guys disappeared during COVID, right? They're like always a lot of like, there was reports from Italy. We have 300 million people dying every day. Like, how do you still have a country? What is going on? So you still live in Italy? So you're here for a visit?
No. I came here to do a PhD, and then I found my husband.
Oh, that's very nice. That's very exciting. And your husband is Israeli? What does this mean? Sometimes I'm Israeli.
Most of my life.
Most of your life you're Israeli, and you're Italian. And you cook?
No.
I was talking to her. You're an Israeli guy. I don't even have to ask that. I can know the world. You cook? Yeah, like lasagna and shit? I don't know. Listen to that accent. Oh my god. Oh my god, that sounds amazing. You could have said everything. Like, fiat punto, whatever, I don't care. That sounds delicious. Amazing. From Italy, you find your husband and you live here now. Are you okay? I love it when Italians start talking with their hands and then the voice comes. You know what I mean? It's just like thunder and lightning. Listen, what? Just should talk first and then the hands. I don't know. So you guys live in Italy or here? Here. So you kind of made Aliyah.
You can ask me that.
Even Misada Pnim sounds good with an Italian accent. You know what I mean? That's the most depressing thing in Israel. Misada Pnim! Oh, I want to go there. I bet they have good lasagna. You guys are awesome. Thank you for that. Like, congratulations on your marriage. That's pretty exciting.
So, I mean, I just can't imagine what the constant criticism. I mean, I'm married. I know a little bit what constant criticism feels like, but I can't imagine what it's like.
Well, I mean, but
Israeli.
But what about what about U.S. support in terms of military support and financial support? Is that? Do you think about those things? And in terms of.
Obviously, like I don't think you guys understand that Israelis, at least the educated ones, are the biggest fan of the U.S. Like the biggest fan, cultural wise, whatever, like music, comedy, whatever. Everything we consume and everything we watch is from the United States. Like we love it so much. Some of us love SNL more than we love Eretz Nehederet, for that matter. So, it's just. Everything that America does, we're fascinated by. So obviously the support and the financial support and the military support, we're very grateful, and we understand that we cannot do this, by ourselves. But again, we're the tip of the spear. We're a Western country residing in the middle of the Middle East. So somebody has to do it. You know what I mean? We're not visitors here. We're not going to Afghanistan for a few years and then go back. We're not going to Iraq for a few years and then going back. We live here. That's the only place we have on earth, and we're the tip of the spear. So, we try our best to civilize this area.
I can hear people who have a different point of view from you objecting to that analogy, tip of the spear, because it sounds aggressive, like you want to pierce another people's part of the world.
Yeah, but when you're living under a constant attack for 75 years, you're going to be a little bit aggressive. I'm sorry.
Yeah. What else? What other questions? So, how do you see this? Well, let me ask you another real question. A lot of civilians are dying, right? And and I believe that most Israelis, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think most people take that very seriously. But you feel like you have to do it. So what do you feel needs to be accomplished in this war that you can be at peace with yourself that all the people who were killed were not killed in a callous way? What accomplishment? What does Israel have to walk away from and say, listen, yes, we did these horrible things, but at least we accomplished this, and this was worth it?
I think what you're saying is a little bit wrong, like respectfully, of course.
Okay, disconnect him. That's it.
Obviously.
No, of course, by all means. Tell me where I'm wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about. Go ahead.
Of course, you're awesome, and I love you because you own the seller. But
No. Please speak frankly. Speak frankly.
I'm being very frank. Listen, obviously the civilians casualties that we have, nobody likes that. Nobody encourages that. We don't like to see any civilians getting hurt. Muslim, Christians, Palestinians, whatever they are. Nobody with the right mind and with a full heart like to see civilian casualties. That's just insane. Nobody likes that. None of us do. But the thing is, we understand that if Hamas want this war to end tomorrow, they will surrender, give us back the rest of our hostages, and just everything will end. But as long as it's not happening, we will have to take back the Gaza Strip and dismantle Hamas completely, because we cannot stay neighbors of those people.
Right.
Our war, people don't understand, our war is not with the Palestinian people, not at all. Our war is with a terrorist organization called Hamas, and in northern Israel, Hezbollah. We don't hate Lebanese people or Jordanians or Palestinians for that matter. We have nothing against them. The people that want to live in peace, like I'm currently in Judea and Samaria. The people I meet when I do my patrols, I have nothing against them. Usually we have like nice conversations, and we all want to live in peace and go back to our boring life. And people don't understand that. People think that the Israeli army or the Israeli government just hates everyone and want everyone to die. Not at all. We don't. We just want to live in peace and have our boring life. But terrorist organizations and those groups that are threatening Israel's existence, we're fighting those people. And if those people are using the innocent civilians as human shields, we got nothing to do against it. We got not. Unfortunately, nobody likes to see the sights that we've seen from Gaza. This is terrible. We hate that, and we condemn every single of, civilian casualty. But when that's the cost of war that we didn't start. We never start a war. Israel never started a war. We only retaliate.
I just want to point out that I just want to point out that Judea and Samaria, which you mentioned, is what most people in the United States would refer to the West Bank. But Judea and Samaria, that's the Hebrew and biblical names for that region. And that's, you said, where you grew up?
Yeah, I grew up here. Like, I'm doing actually my reserve service, like, actually where I grew up.
Now, the people in the settlements, there's certain settlements which everybody presumes would be part of Israel, even in a two-state solution. But there's quite a few people who live in areas where that have already been offered, right, in past negotiations. They offer. Do you think these people will uproot voluntarily, or will there be a mini civil war?
I think after what happens in the Gaza Strip in 2005, nobody in their right mind will just leave their house again, because it didn't achieve anything. The reason that we had this war, the reason that 7th of October happened, is because we pulled out of the Gaza Strip. We will not do it again. That as simple as that. You make a mistake once, you see the consequences, you don't do it again. That's how you learn from your history. If you don't learn from your history, it's bound to come back. We won't do it again, ever. Like, if any government will try to do it, they'll be thrown away. That's it. Because, yeah.
But what if there were a Palestinian leader who was quite different than everything that's been before, more like a Sadat, who was sincere, who wanted the end of this conflict? Do you think the Israeli public at this point is capable of believing him?
I don't think so. Like, I'm sorry to say that. It's very hard to say. But after everything we've been through, ever since 2005 till now, I don't think the Israeli public will believe any of the Arab leaders at this point, because we give and give and give, and Israel, just every year, Israel is getting smaller and smaller, and the population gets bigger and bigger, and we give parts of us, and it doesn't work.
What do you mean you get smaller and smaller?
We used to have the parts of Egypt and parts of Jordan and parts of Lebanon, and every time to achieve peace, we give piece of Israel away. And we have a temporary peace with Lebanon and Jordan and Egypt, but every time we give piece of the land to the Palestinians, a few years later, there's an all-out war. So we're not going to do it again. As simple as that. Like, me as an Israeli, again, I'm not a politician. I'm a comedian. I'm not a politician. I'm not the prime minister. I don't know. I simply learn history. And I grew up here doing the...
Just to clarify, whatever you say is fine. But when you say give a piece of Israel away, like when you gave the Sinai back to Egypt, you saw that as giving a piece of Israel away, or I mean, it was never part of Israel, the Sinai. It was occupied.
Yeah. But when you win a war, this place is a part of your country. That's what people fail to understand. When they attack you and you defend yourself and conquer this area, that area is yours now. That's how war works. But to achieve peace, you give it to the people, or whatever you do, whatever you can to achieve peace, because Israel's main goal is to have a sustainable peace.
Right.
But sometimes it doesn't work. People have to understand, our main goal living here is to live in peace. We don't want a war. We don't want to go on operation. I'm 35 years old, and I'm spending my whole days and nights in uniforms patrolling the fence. Nobody wants that. I want to go to the comedy club and perform. I want to have a career, for God's sake. I don't want to walking around with a gun. Nobody does. But people think that we somehow like to instigate and have like all this conflicts all the time. We don't. We just simply try to defend ourselves. And if sometimes it means giving land back, we do that. sometimes it doesn't work, so we won't do it again.
Periel?
I was going to ask you if you've been surprised at the anti-Semitism that has exploded through the world since October 7th.
As my dad used to say all the time, disappointed but not surprised. So no, not at all. I knew that was the case. I knew there's all of like sleeping cells of anti-Semitism all over the world. People are just, they want to be polite. But the moment stuff like this happened, the past operation that we had, I saw it on social media. Again, I was a little bit surprised, but not really, because we know nobody likes us. We know there's double standards, whatever it's considered in Israel, and Jewish people. Like, there's some standards for the rest of the world and some standards for us. So we're not in Israel. We're not really surprised because we experience that on a daily basis. But to see Jews all over the world suffer and being so surprised by that broke my heart.
Now, you mentioned you don't like being 35 years old, and which is, by the way, pretty young. But in any case, but I guess when you're 35, you don't think of it that way. But in any case, you said you want to have a career, you want to be home with your family and all those things, and you see American Jews doing just what you're describing. Are you do you have resentment and or jealousy, and or would you rather be in our shoes, or would you prefer to be in Israel with all that that comes with?
Let me tell you something. My mom told me recently that we were supposed to live in the U.S. when I was a kid. Like, my dad was in the Army for 25 years, and he got offered a job in a military base in the U.S., and he declined because of my mom. So I was supposed to be an American at some point. And for many years, I resented her for that. But to be completely honest, there's no other place I'd rather be. Like, during this time, I feel it's a higher calling. Like, my career is first for me. The only thing that trumps that is to protect my country and my people. Like, I know I will have a career later on, and hopefully I'll get to perform all over the world, especially the U.S., which I love.
Every woman thinks that she's living like a different life. Like, whatever happens to her, it only happens to her. And you just need to stand there and be like, really? No way! Oh my God, it's just so frustrating. Just breathe. It's fine. My dream is for somebody to die in my show, but not now. Wait for my full show. I don't want the other comedians taking credit. Like, we're warming up for you. No, it's me. You fucking... Or die. I had enough with my grandma. Please just... I hate myself so much, and I think it's not because of you. Like, you know what I mean? My dad is in my head always, you're not that funny. She just have a problem. I'm sorry, it's just self-hate. I'm so sorry. Please give her some water or nachos. Suffocate her completely. You know,
but for right now, there's no place I'd rather be, and I'm very, very proud to serve my country. I was in Mexico when this war broke out. Like, I was on a vacation. I could stay there. Like, I could. My commander told me, like, just stay in Mexico. Like, you have the perfect excuse. Stay there. And I did everything in my power, and through Dallas and Miami, and you don't want to know the story. I got here as fast as I can because there's no higher calling than protecting your country and your people.
If you stayed in Mexico, if you had stayed in Mexico, wouldn't you be under arrest as soon as you stepped foot on Israeli soil? If you didn't go back?
No.
Aren't you?
Not at all.
Well, is it by law, don't you have to go back and serve when you're called up?
No. By law, if you're already outside of Israel, you don't have to come back. You can come back whenever you want.
The reserves are
different.
We're
obligated. Yeah, we're not. Like, my commander told me, like, you know what? If you're in Mexico, enjoy Mexico. We'll call you when it's over. But I couldn't do it. Nobody could. That's why 300,000 Israelis came back as soon as this war started. Not because we were obligated and we were afraid to go to jail. No, because this is what we do. We're Israelis. The moment our country needs us, we come here.
So you look at a Jew like me, a neurotic,
A yid.
Woody Allen-esque Jew with disgust.
A yid. Didn't Jabotinsky call them yids? Oh, wait, we got cut off.
We got cut off. Matar, was it Matar?
Matan.
Matan.
Matan, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Go ahead.
So you're revolted by the American Jew, is what you're trying to say.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. I'm fascinated by American Jews. I try my best to like understand the state of mind, like how is it like to be a Jew outside of Israel? I'm fascinated
Well,
by
you know, there's many Jews in America that are very, very anti-Zionist. More than a few. I don't know what the percentage is. I've read that it's not that many, but I keep bumping into them everywhere I go. So
something about knowing you.
I don't know what it is, but I mean, there's more than a few Jews that are very, very vocally anti-Israel. Some that just criticize the Israeli government, but some that step over the line and say Israel shouldn't exist as a Jewish state. It should be a one-state solution. I don't know if you're aware. I don't know if you're aware how many Jews think like that here in the United States.
To be completely honest, I think like, first of all, I don't care what those people think. That's first of all. Like, to be completely honest. Second of all, that just shows you how comfortable their life is in America. That they think we don't have the right to exist. Oh, you don't think we have the right to exist? Okay. So why won't you go to Starbucks, like across the street, and think about it again while I'm fighting for my life over here? So, like, it doesn't. I don't care what you think.
I think that also
that reminds me, I could use a latte.
No, but that the flip side of that is that I think what they don't understand is that Jews all over the world are only as safe as Israel is secure, right? It's very easy, like the luxury of like being theoretic.
Exactly. I think that the notion of those Jewish Americans or from other parts of the world that says Israel doesn't have the right to exist, they forget that prior to the Holocaust, a lot of the Jews, if not 90% of the Jews that lived in Germany, thought that there is no point for like the homeland of Israel. There's no point. Nobody wants to leave. But then every once in a while, the world reminds us that we got no other place to go. Everywhere we will be, anywhere in the world will be guests. And the moment we'll feel too comfortable, the world reminds us that, no, you don't belong here. Go away. Where? Israel.
I'm not sure I'm quite that pessimistic that it could happen even in the United States. I suppose it could.
I hope not. But like if you look at the course of history, like my grandparents when they lived in Morocco, Jews in Germany prior to World War II, a lot of those places, those people call those places home. They're like, there's no other place for us. We feel home. We were born here. Our ancestors born here. Whatever. There's a faraway land that's called like the land of Israel or Judea. But we don't care about that. We live here, and that's our place. But wherever we are, every once in a while, they remind us that first of all, we're Jews, and then we're citizens of whatever country that we are. And that's why the existence of the state of Israel is so important for the Jewish people.
What if Hitler just like tripped in the bathtub? I just cracked his head. like it's a lot of in a certain way you think about the currents of history as if it was inevitable, but he actually was such a singular. Something go wrong?
I can't hear.
Yeah. The sound is a little bit.
You couldn't hear
anything. I could hear it, but not through the headphones.
You know what? You're in big trouble, Max. Nothing's working. All right. 1, 2. All right, forget it. Talk, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I with the course, the Zionist movement was well underway prior to Hitler, and I don't know that. I mean, I think Israel would have happened anyway.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think, like, of course, the Zionist movement happened before Hitler, obviously, but nobody really considered like radical and insane to try to, build a home for the Jewish people. Why would we need that on earth? Like, we have our own country, so to speak. The Holocaust actually gave the Zionist movement so much power that they end up with the establishment of the state of Israel. People lived here way before 1948. Like, where my parents live, Gan Yavne, was founded in 1933. Petah Tikva was founded in 1878. Like, people lived here all through history. The establishment of the state of Israel happened when we realized that everywhere we go, we will be considered guests. And we don't want to feel that anywhere. Like, I feel it, like, when I go to the U.S., for example, and I meet a lot of American Jews, and it's amazing, and I love America. I really do. But every time I go, I feel like, okay, I need to go back home now. Like, this is amazing. The tall buildings and the culture is amazing, but I need to go back home now. And the fact that a lot of American Jews feel that way tells you the importance of the state of Israel.
It must be hard to be around such a polite, non-pushy people for too long.
Yeah, actually, that's true. I felt it to my core when I saw the videos of those people like ripping down the kidnap posters.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So I was like, to film them and be like, those are babies, those are little kids. I was like, that's such a not Israeli thing to do, just to film someone. No, that's not very Israeli. Like, Israelis will lose their minds, but it's good to be civilized once in a while.
All right. Well, I think it's about time, right? We're going to wrap it up. Did you send Periel some of your comedy stuff? And I can cut some of your stand up into the video and into the thing. So when we post the podcast, people can hear some of your
You do comedy in Israel, mostly in Hebrew, I gather, but you do also do some English comedy.
I have clips in English. I have clips in English to send, of course. Yeah, sure. My dream is to perform in the Comedy Cellar. So this is the closest I get to my dream right now.
Well, that hopefully, God willing, that'll happen.
I really hope so.
And please be safe. Anything else you want to say to him?
No, I think that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, sir.
Bye, Matan.
It's in the middle of the night there now, right?
Yeah. It's actually midnight exactly, and we're shifting our, we're doing the shift exchange, so that's perfect.
Okay. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Shalom.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.